Welcome. We're back to another chat with Michael Baker from Custom Bike Fit. So we're into week 2 of his program, and we thought we'd catch up again just to check in on how he's going and how the program's going and how he's been feeling. If you watched last week, you might recall that Michael had just done the Sunny Coast 70.3 a couple of weeks earlier. We're now working towards Hervey Bay 100 in 6 weeks. And the focus is on getting him just into a good training routine and further developing his aerobic capacity after a sort of a break from structured training for the last couple of years. I guess firstly, Michael, how has the last week's training been, mate?
Yeah, everything's gone well. I've hit every session,
Mm-hmm.
which is the main thing. Just showing up, I guess. And even when I've been doing the sessions, I've been thinking to myself, I'm glad this has been programmed because I've been busy.
Yeah.
Busy with other stuff. So just making things happen.
Yep.
Having having that accountability. So yeah, I've hit every session. The sessions have gone well. I've stuck to the program, which is another thing. I think I mentioned last week, I'd get to the pool, I'd start making things up. Going to do this.
Yeah. So you found that having that sense of accountability and someone else giving you some structure has been beneficial for you.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
And that's that's a really important point, because the reality is a lot of people could probably write their own program. The actual sessions and the theory behind getting someone fit is not overly complicated. You follow some basic rules about training intensity and staying consistent and making sure you get your recovery right. Generally, you're going to improve if you're able to maintain some consistency in your training. But the benefits of having that coach is that they can take a helicopter view of your life and put the right type of program in for you in terms of the adequate volume, appropriate intensity, and the right recovery. And then the athlete has that benefit of, well, they don't have to think about it. There's a sense of accountability. And the other thing is they don't go and make excuses. Oh, I haven't got time for this today, or I'll just do this. And that's, I think, the challenges with being a self-coached athlete. So I guess in your circumstances, that level of accountability is helping, because you said before we started recording, you've had a bit on work-wise lately.
Yeah. It's often and during school holidays, I tend to have fewer clients.
Yep.
Because the majority of my clients have got kids and they're spending time and money with their kids. But I just, it's a time when I just have to, there's so many other things I need to do that I have to catch up on.
Yep.
So, yeah.
And it's things like that when you are training, and it comes back to that routine. I think the cornerstone of success is having good daily habits and routines that allow you to be consistent. And that's, if you look at anyone that's had a level of success in triathlon, whether they be an age group or a professional, they're just a bundle of routines and habits every day.
Yeah.
Training becomes like brushing their teeth. It's just something that they do. And whilst you haven't stopped training the last couple of years, it just hasn't had a level of structure or intention to it. Just now what we're changing. So again, before we recorded, I asked you how you were feeling, and you mentioned that you were feeling stronger, but you felt as though your body composition is changing. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I feel physically, but I haven't for a long, long time. I've never been, because I'm a bigger guy. I'm quite broad and muscular for a triathlete. I'm not your typical triathlete, real lean, thin, wiry. I've not spent any time, I don't go to the gym, I don't lift weights, I haven't, that sort of strength stuff, which has been put into the program. I don't have to go to the gym, but I'm doing things now like push-ups, lunges, squats, planking, these things that I haven't done before. And it's a challenge, but I can see benefit in doing it. I do feel physically stronger. I think some of the stuff that I'm doing on the bike as well, where I've disregarding speed altogether. And it's just, going out today and pushing a big gear for 3 hours. I feel physically stronger in the legs, and my body composition has definitely changed. I don't know that I've lost any weight, but a few people have commented, that I'm looking a lot fitter. My partner being number one, and some other people that I haven't seen for a few weeks in the cycling community, bike shops. There's a couple of bike shops I go into. They're like, "Oh wow, you're looking fit." And as I said, we've only been working together for a couple of weeks. It's not just the last 2 weeks. There's an accumulation, because obviously I did do some training of sorts leading into the sunny coast, and I think I did get a lot out of the sunny coast. I mean, I'm out there. I was out there for 5.5 hours. You've got to get something out of that. But definitely, I can notice changes. I feel a bit different. I'm looking different.
Yeah. And that point around, your number on the scales probably hasn't changed, but it sounds like you've put on muscle and reduced body fat, which at the end of the day is what we're trying to achieve. So with the program that we've got in place for you, like this morning, you had a 3-hour aerobic intensity ride, but pushing a big gear. So the intensity was aerobic, but we were trying to get a strength effect by building that, fatigue resistance in our legs. And that's the reasoning behind pushing a big gear, and being a masters athlete as well. Things like squats, lunges, push-ups are great to prevent the loss of lean muscle mass, which happens after the age of 35. We lose lean muscle mass. So just simple stuff you can do at home that doesn't require you to go to the gym, only takes 20 to 30 minutes, can be very beneficial. So, as a coach, the feedback that I'm getting from you is all positive, that generally you're feeling stronger. People are commenting on, starting to look a little bit leaner. So we're producing lean muscle mass, reducing body fat. These are good signs that I look for as a coach, that, okay, the program that we're setting you, you're getting a positive adaptation from. So to give people an idea what we're doing, if you follow a zone model, there's a lot of people follow zone models, zone 1 to 5. I would say we're looking at about 85 to 90% of your training would be in zone 1 to zone 2, that easy aerobic intensity. And there's some higher intensity work in there, not really so much in the bike or run, but definitely in the pool. How are you finding the sessions in the pool? Last week, you said that a lot of the sessions you'd go to the pool, just make it up as you go, but we've put a bit of structure in there. We've put a bit of intensity in there. How are you finding the swim sessions?
Yeah, good. I kind of do the session and then I forget about it. So the one that's in my memory, the clearest in my memory, is the one I did yesterday, where the main part of the swim, so there were 5 100s, kind of a warm up, and at the end of each 100, get out the pool, do 5 press ups, get back in the water, 15 seconds rest, off again. So the main part of the set was 450s with paddles, hard, with a 90-second recovery, and then 100 easy, and repeat that 4 times through. Now, I'll be honest with you. When I did the first set, I was standing at the edge of the pool going, this is too much rest. Well,
I will interject. That's probably my fault. It's the 50s are done on 90 seconds, not 90 seconds rest.
Ah, right. Okay.
So that's a good example of where a coach can, set a session.
Yeah.
But I probably wasn't clear enough in my messaging. So that's it's good because it was too much rest. So you're generally looking about, if 50 takes you, say, 40 seconds, you're having about 50 seconds rest. So my error. But anyway, keep going.
Yeah. Let me think. Was it? No. I was leaving on 90 seconds.
Oh, there you go. All right, that's good.
Trying to remember. But I'm thinking, because I was thinking to myself, this is too much rest. But when I got to the back end, it was only the back end of the second or the beginning of the third set, I went, actually, do you know what? I need this rest because I had that accumulative fatigue.
Yeah.
And I was hitting those on the same, it was between 38 and 40 seconds for each of the 50s. And I'd come in and I'd be like, you know, which I'm not used to. Like, you know, the last 10 meters of the swim, I'm like, okay, you can feel things kind of slowing down a little bit.
Yep. Yep.
But then 15 seconds later, from an aerobic, well, even less, 10 seconds later, from an aerobic point of view, I'm like, I'm good to go. But I'm probably not recovered, you know, through the musculoskeletal system. You know, there's still some build up in there, whether it's lactic acid, call it what you want.
Yep. Yep.
But yeah, again, that's not a session I would normally do, because I'll be looking at my watch going, I'm always thinking, I find it difficult to be, I tell everybody all the time, you've got to be present in the moment.
Yep.
You know? And I'm like looking at the clock going, geez, I've got a lot to do today. And that's when I would be previously go to the pool and go, nah, just go and swim 2K non-stop.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and it's moderate.
Yeah.
And everything's moderate, but you get out of the pool and you feel fatigued.
Yeah. But
you know?
but you haven't necessarily achieved a great deal.
No, not when you're doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. That's where I got a little bit stuck, I think.
So that session, to give people an idea, so, you know, a bit of a warm-up, and we included the press-ups or the push-ups just to mix it up. You know, that's because triathlon is a total body sport. And by getting out of the pool, you're using other muscles in your body, you're doing some push-ups, and it just helps with that warm-up process as well, and it gives you a little bit of variety. And then the 4x50 on 90 seconds hard with paddles, we have the strength element. And then the objective with that session is, so, you know, it was taking you 38 to 40 seconds to do the 50s. You're building up an accumulation of lactic acid. And what we're trying to see is how well your body is, how efficient your body is at buffering that lactic acid. We can measure the progress of that session. So you might do that set 3, 4, 5 times through. And if you can do it 5, 6 times through and hold the same times, that means that your lactate threshold is increasing and your body is becoming more efficient at buffering lactic acid. So your threshold is improving, and that means you can go faster for longer. Good sign is that aerobically you're recovering quite well. And that's an accumulation of all the years of training that you've been doing. Even though you haven't done structured stuff for a couple of years, you've still been active and maintaining your aerobic system, but not to the level of race fitness, so to speak. But that's always there. That won't leave. And that's a sign that you're an experienced athlete. And it's also a sign, if you're recovering better in sessions and then after sessions, that's a sign of improved fitness. And that underlying level of aerobic conditioning is why you know, the recovery side of things is why you need it, because it allows you to recover better from interval sessions and from sessions day to day to develop the consistency. So it's, you know, from my perspective, that's good news. And we'll monitor that session. We'll do that a couple of times. We'll monitor that session and see how you go, holding your times, and then how quickly you can recover. And then to add stress, we just put another set on. So we put more volume within that set, but maintain the same intensity. So that was interesting. Tell me about, I think there was a session in there and I had you doing some strides or some sort of shorter, faster stuff with the run. How did you find that?
Yeah, that again was yesterday, and it was very, you know, a short session, 15 minutes easy, and then 10 by 15 seconds, 15 seconds fast.
Yep.
And 45 seconds easy recovery.
Yep.
So I was continually running.
Yep.
And what I was doing, I ran out to a junction, and then I hung a right-hand turn, and then I ran my 15 seconds fast, just a bit of recovery, turned around, recovered again, and then was pushing off. And then, it was, you know, I got through the session, no problem. And it was repeatable, those efforts. And it was good the feeling of being up on my toes again and running quickly.
Yep.
Now, I haven't done any quick running. I trained for a marathon the first year I got to the Sunshine Coast, and I actually got injured. I took a couple of weeks off, and then I just flipped and did the half. And I was doing a lot of, as well as volume, I was doing a lot of fast work. And it's been that long since I've done any real, maybe not that long, but it's been a considerable amount of time since I've done some speed work where I've been up on my toes. And my background, when I was a kid, I was a sprinter. used to run the 100 and the 200. I was pretty good back in the day. So it's again nice. It's refreshing, you know. And I kind of, you know, tomorrow I've got an hour run.
Yep.
Which is more in tune with me. You know,
Yep,
oh, that
yep.
I need to be running a bit longer.
Yep. Yep.
But I think that I have total faith in you that what I'm doing has a purpose, and because I see the progress already, I know I'm going to get something out of it on the other end. And I would imagine that even those short efforts will benefit my longer running, you know, my endurance runs down the track.
Look, 100%. So the methodology behind that session, the 15-second efforts, and they weren't maximal sprints, they were just controlled speed. And the prescription was pretend as though you had, you know, you're running on hot coals, you got light, quick feet, and you want to get up nice and tall. And the danger with triathletes, especially those doing long courses, they become very good at plodding, you know, very good at aerobic slow running. And we've got to build that aerobic foundation, but we need to activate our neuromuscular system to improve our form and our technique. So our overall objective is still to develop aerobic conditioning. And if we were to go out and do some hard 4 to 5 minute high intensity intervals in running wise, chances are you probably pull up quite sore and even get injured. But by doing these short 15-second accelerations, strides, bursts, we're stimulating the neuromuscular system, and we're starting to get the body prepared down the track for some of your more traditional high intensity work, fartlek, longer intervals. And we did something similar in the bike, you know, those short 30-second bursts to stimulate neuromuscular patterning, but not compromise the overall objective, which is aerobic conditioning. And, you know, that type of stuff just stops us becoming a plodder, and it stops us developing inefficiencies in our technique. Because if we just do long, slow stuff all the time, neuromuscularly, we don't develop efficiency or good technique. And that essentially will slow us down. And so you're right, tomorrow, by doing those short bursts, it will hopefully improve your technique so you can hold a faster pace for longer and run more efficiently and minimize. The other thing that it really does well is it minimizes foot contact time on the ground. So the more flight time you have when you run, the faster you go. So that's the reasoning behind that. But overall, I think, you know, this is a positive sign that the feedback that I'm getting is that feeling pretty good. And this is, you know, this is part of the coach-athlete relationship. The coach is just looking for signs to go, is what we're doing working? And if you're giving me, you know, signals say, look, I'm really tired, I'm pulling up sore, can't hold times, I'm like, okay, that would be a sign that we would need to change something within the program. Is the volume too much? Are we not getting enough recovery? Is the intensity a little bit too much? And so that feedback process, you know, if anyone out there is an athlete and you have a coach, the more feedback you can give the coach, the better, because they're looking for signs to say, is what we're doing working? So at this stage, it's all heading in the right direction, I think.
Yeah. I have a question for you.
Sure.
On the bike, long ride, so the longer ride, so today, what's your thoughts around eating on the bike? Is that something we do from the word go? Do we leave it an hour? Do we leave it half an hour? Do we leave it 2 hours? What do you prescribe?
That's a great question. That is a really good question, and a polarizing topic within the triathlon community from the point of view, you know, a lot of people are advocating the low carb, high fat diet and doing longer rides fasted. So what the theory behind that they're saying is, all right, by doing these rides fasted, you're teaching your body to spare muscle glycogen and use fat as an energy source, which certainly does. I'm not about to tell someone one way is better than the other. If you talk to a dietitian, they'll say to you, well, no, you need high carbs for energy, you know, moderate levels of protein and fat. So I guess on that, we need to decide, firstly, what have you done in the past for previous long course races when it comes to training and racing in regards to eating and drinking on the bike? What have you done in the past?
Me, I generally anything up to 3, generally up to 2-3 hours. I don't have anything. I'll just have water and an electrolyte tablet in my drink. Today, I had one of those Cliff blocks, one block. During that ride. Last week, I had a banana at 2 hours, and I had a block. So I generally go very, very low, and I have in the past gone 4 hours without taking anything in. But what I do find is if I leave it, 2 hours isn't a problem. I think at 2 hours from now, I've got to start putting things in, because I don't, my day hasn't even begun. Even on a Saturday, I'm working today. And I'll feel that later in the day. If I don't get some nutrition in, if I leave that 3 hours, 4 hours, I come through the door, you got to put everything away. I get off my bike, I put everything away before I go and get something to eat. And then I feel it at the back end of the day. So, and I'm not averse to, I've been doing that sort of low fat and fasting. I do it all the time. But I'm not averse to going back. And I used to, years and years ago, throw the food in.
Look, it's a really, I think it comes back to the individual athlete, and are they trying to drop weight? Are they trying to put on lean muscle? And what's their overall objective when it comes to their body composition? When you know that, I think then you can put the appropriate plan in place. The danger is if you do the low carb, high fat diet and do rides in a fasted state, you're right. You can get to the end of the day and start to overeat because your body's gone into a state where it's hungry, and it's your hunger receptors in your brain are like, just give me something to eat, Michael. I just want food. Food's there. It's very hard not to eat it. In that instance, to stop you having too many calories, I think eating more regularly during a ride and having breakfast before you go is better. But if you're trying to teach your body to be more efficient, use fat as a more efficient fuel source and spare muscle glycogen, well, then I think doing longer rides with less calories is beneficial. But it's very much an individual thing. And if you've done more of those in the past and the experience that you've got, I'd say you're quite efficient at using fat as a fuel source anyway. So with that, we just need to balance the demands of not getting too hungry later in the day and overeating. For me, it's more a matter of I get tired rather than overeating. I come, if I've left it 3-4 hours and I don't have breakfast, I get up in the morning, I have a black coffee before I exercise, and then off I go. I'll get to the afternoon, and I've got a fit this afternoon at 2 o'clock, and I've got another one at 4 o'clock. And as you know, it's not just doing the fit. You are concentrating. Got to be switched on.
You are communicating. You're listening. You're watching. And you have to be switched on to do your best. And that's, I just find so I'm very conscious when I come through the door, and now I'm into get some calories in.
Got it. Yeah, you got that 30-minute window to replace. The replenishment window is 30 minutes in terms of getting the calories in. So from your perspective, knowing that you have to be switched on professionally, well, then we need to get those calories in as soon as possible. And it might be that in a 3-hour ride, you're just doing 2 hours of it fasted, but in the last hour, you're starting to ingest some calories. So still getting that fat burning training, but you're not also getting into a calorie deficit. And when you get into a calorie deficit, you get tired. And then it compromises. And, this is a really important part of triathlon training is, if we train in the morning and we do a hard session intensity-wise or a long session and we don't recover properly, it does affect you during the day at work, or it does affect you at home with the family. And it's these little things that I think triathletes, the better ones really understand is that they know what to do after the sessions. And when you get tired and your energy levels drop and you get a bit cranky, it's all just too hard. It's often not the training, it's an under recovery problem, or just a lack of awareness around the little 1%ers that go around the training. And that's, again, the role of the coach is to say, okay, have you got your recovery and you're getting your calories? Or, if I'm getting questions from an athlete, if I'm getting answers from an athlete and there's a pattern developing, well, then I know we've got to look closely. And it might not necessarily be the training. It might be something within their life that we need to adjust so they can get the training done. Good question, and a much debated topic within the triathlon community is the nutrition side of things.
Okay.
So, all right. Well, it's been good to catch up. Good to hear that things are going well. And we'll do this again next week.
All right. Sounds good.
All right, mate. Good one.
You have a good afternoon. Thanks, Mark.
You too.
Okay. Cheers.